Welcome to the More Business, More Life TV. And we are live here and we are going to have an amazing show. Oops, my camera's moving there. So I am excited as always. You know, right now we've been talking a lot about prosperity. What can we do during 2020? And today will be no different. And before we jump into our content and introduce our guests today, I just want to remind you that we're continuing to do webcasts. Our next one is going to be November 12th, and then I'm going to do more of them, and we'll have the link provided. My team will help with that here today. And I want you to know that we're going to go deeper into what are we doing differently. And we really identified 3 things that a lot of my clients that are having prosperity during this changing time and helping a lot of their clients have more prosperity. What are those things? And I'm going to be live with more Q&A and allow you to adapt this for your business. So I really want to help you. So if you want to do that, that's free of charge. Go ahead and register for that. And then we're going to dive into some of these tactics today as well on this live show. And today I've got who's become a dear friend of mine now and also a client, and we're working Daniel Masci from Australia. He got up early this morning. So he's in Melbourne right now. Thanks for being here, Daniel.
Thanks for having me, Steve. And always good to be up early with you.
Well, I appreciate it. We could start the day together. I'm really curious, just getting right into it, because this is our shorter format show. You know, when you started to notice, and I know you and your brother co-founded the Masci Group, and when you and your brother started noticing that this wasn't going away, the changes in 2020 were not going to be a short time. They're going to be a longer change. What became most important to you?
I think the thing that became most important for us was to not rush, to not scramble around and stress ourselves out, and especially stress the team. We wanted to take a really consolidated approach and make sure that we unified the team and kept the team together as much as we can, because there was a lot of discussion about working remotely, working from the office, and what do we do? So the number one thing for us was to, I suppose, essentially sit back, take time, and assess each thing on its merits slowly and really securely, so we're making the right decision for us and for the team.
Yeah, so just to take things a little bit slower so that you can make the best decision once you see what's going on, instead of making a rash decision and making things happen too quick, and then maybe it wasn't the right appropriation for the team.
Yeah, absolutely, because it was a crazy stressful time for everyone, because no one's faced anything like this in their lifetime. I mean, I certainly haven't, and I've never been through any kind of pandemic or any wars or anything like that. So people were already quite anxious about a lot of their civil liberties and having to be stuck at home and separated from themselves or from everyone around them. So we didn't want to add to that with extra pressure as to how we're going to perform as a business, what are the steps and what are the measures that we're going to take. So we just took slow steps and communicated all the way through with all the team to create, I suppose, a little bit more calm over everyone.
Right. That makes sense. And I want to pick apart how you dealt with some of the challenges, but first, by having this step-by-step approach and kind of calming things down so you can make the right decisions, what would you say has been the biggest success during this period of time for the Masci Group?
Look, there's been, funnily enough, there's been a lot of amazing successes that we've had. One of the main ones, I guess, has really been keeping the team so connected with each other. We set up, when we did have to eventually work from home, we set up bi-weekly Teams or Zoom meetings where we still connected on a Monday morning and then a Friday afternoon for drinks. Actually, it was a 3, and then a Wednesday lunchtime we all caught up. So the massive success for us was keeping the team really grounded, really, really together, and making sure that everyone was okay, reaching out to everyone, calling everyone on the phone. I in particular, and our GM and my brother were always calling everyone just to touch base, touch in. So keeping that fear and anxiety away from them and keeping them updated and communicating really, really well with the whole team, so they understand that we're in a good position, we're moving forward, and we still had projects coming in, and we were still gaining a lot of momentum with those projects. So it was, I think that was a great success for us and for the team.
Beautiful. So being able to have those touch points and continual routine connections, even though you weren't all able to go into the office, and having that deeper connection, what do you think having that has done for you and the team?
It's created a really good energy so from the time that we did have to go and work from home, and there was probably a 6-week period, we all kept in and we all connected really, really well, because two of our businesses are construction businesses. So keeping that energy going, and then we would meet up with some of the guys on particular building sites that we had, connecting with them, have a chat, ask them how they're going. So when we got back to the office, there was just this amazing energy of everyone, just stepping back in and super excited, so happy to see each other and be, unified again at this amazing, the amazing space that we have. And then, before we actually went through the work from home phase, we were, construction was still open. So we were still operating in this space. So, the massive success for that as well. And, having that office space gave us a really amazing opportunity we became quite insular within our team, and we were sort of locked away from everything else. We turned off the TV, we turned off the radio, we weren't listening to anything that was going on, and just kept that energy and that momentum of the energy going.
That's beautiful. So you're able to keep that momentum, keep your projects going, and keep that positive mental outlook going.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
critical.
So important. And I'm just curious, was there like a dip before that? Like before this success occurred, what was it like before? Was there like a moment of challenge or even, dare I say, freak out? Or, I'm just curious, like, what was it like before you found this team cohesion, or, like bringing this new system together? Like, what was it like?
Yeah, look, there was a lot of those moments, and there was, some really big dips. In April, we saw, April, May, we saw a massive decline in project tenders that were coming in. We literally had 0 new projects coming through for the estimating team. So, that was a real concern. And, our government here was very much hopping from one foot to the next for quite a while. So there was a lot of indecision with, how businesses are actually going to operate. So that was something that, we kept as a leadership team. There's 4 of us in the leadership team. So we would strategize, every second day about how we progress forward, the best way to progress forward. And that, the things that we did would make sure that we communicated that within ourselves. First, we would formulate a really solid plan. And, sometimes we'd formulate a plan, the government would change the direction that we're heading into the business. So that was thrown out the door. So we'd formulate a new plan. Through that process of continually formulating the plans and then communicating that really, really well to all of our team, gave us the opportunity to, fully embrace what's happening, create a solid plan, and have the team understand the direction that we're going in, and give, that gave them a lot of security, understanding that, hey, we're not closing down, we're keeping the doors open. And for us, we had this mindset that it's business as usual. And if there's any opportunities that we can go after in this time, then let's absolutely go after them.
Beautiful. So you kept this strong. So you did have the freakouts and the unknown, and then constantly having to change the recipe. It's kind of like you're going to cook something in the kitchen and then you realize you don't have a certain ingredient. So you got to like change the recipe again, or, oh, let's not cook that, let's make this. But so just having that constant awareness. Where did you have, like, I'm just curious, because, a lot of people are having challenges, and I want to continue to talk about your success, and I even want to pick it apart a little bit so we can get some tips for the folks watching today. But I'm just curious for another moment around the challenge when, managing your team and multiple businesses, and having, the government in Melbourne go back and forth and changing things so much. how did this affect you and the team at the beginning, before you started to get your groove?
Look, I think the team was very unsure initially what was happening because no one's, as I said before, no one's been through any kind of pandemic. So that in itself was a really big challenge. Aside from that, we until we had a plan, we didn't express what we were doing to the team. We just gave them so much reassurance that we're open. We don't care what's going on outside these walls. These are the projects that we've got on. This business is doing this business is doing that. So we kept them really updated with everything that we had happening, and making sure that, number one, that they were comfortable and they were really content with our business as a whole. Because outside of that, yes, there's a lot of stuff going on. We made sure that we had all the right safety measures and health measures happening in the office. We stopped people from coming to the office, so they felt secure. So we made, essentially, we made our space and our little zone almost like a little oasis where no one else was allowed in but us. So we gave them that really safe and secure feeling of coming into the office was a great space to be in.
Yeah, so you kind of created your own bubble, so to speak, and you gave a little certainty where there was so much uncertainty. So you built certainty for your team members so they could say, "Hey, yeah, it's crazy out there, but our company is moving forward."
Yeah, absolutely, and created that. It created a safe place for them all.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, because then that gives a little bit of sanity in all these things that can feel insane, that have been going on. So
There's so much other stuff going on externally, and we encourage people: don't watch the news, don't listen to the radio. If you need to get an update, and just get a quick one, and then move on. Because if you start, jumping into that zone of watching this and getting consumed by this every day, it can have some really dramatic effects on your life and on your mindset. And if you keep continuing to be doing that every day, you all of a sudden become so stressed out and so anxious about everything that's happening. Let's just focus as a team what we can do for each other, how we can enrich all of our lives daily, and what sort of energy we can be bringing in.
it's so true. I mean, here in the United States, we've seen anxiety and depression spike during this period of time, and even suicide has gone up. Are you
Yeah.
seeing the same thing in uh, in Melbourne?
Yeah, absolutely. It's and I don't know what the stats are on the suicide rates, but I have heard that they are definitely up. I know that abuse has been up with people staying at home. So there's lots of really terrible things that are coming out of it, and it's been really hard because it's we're in quarantine, we're out of quarantine, we're in quarantine, we're out of quarantine. So as a state and as a city, we've been so confused, and so we've been feeling that massively, and that even impacted me for quite a while personally. But what we made sure we did was really encourage the team and say, hey, all this crazy stuff is happening, but as a group, as a team, we're so unified together, we know what we have to do. Let's focus on that. Don't focus on all this other stuff happening because it's there and we can't control these things. What we can control is the energy that we're bringing in, the energy that we're giving to each other, and getting on with what we need to do.
Yeah. And that's, I think that those are some old adages and even like biblical things that come from, the fact that, let's focus on what we can control, and know the difference, right? What's that saying? To know what we can't, let go of what we can't control and focus on what we can control, and then be wise enough to know the difference. There's some saying like that. I'm butchering it right now, but that's basically what I'm hearing you say. And then allowing you to drive that focus and that mindset really, really helped your team. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
That's
it's that saying that I think everyone has is where the focus goes, the energy flows. And so we really wanted to make sure that we had a really good focus, a positive focus, and that's where the energy will flow.
That's so beautiful. And just for a little bit more, and thanks for sharing all this with us. Just for a little bit more context, for the Masci group, can you maybe share a little bit of what your core purpose is, just so people can understand, you know, your business? I know you have more than one business, so maybe just a highlight of that. Um, because I know it's really
Sure.
important, near and dear to your heart. Yeah.
So our core purpose we've got a few different businesses. We've got two construction businesses. We've got an architectural business. We've got a property development business, and there's a few other ones that we're working on at the moment. But our core business, what we've really stretched and pulled it apart over the last 12 months with a lot of help from from yourself, Steve, is and we have this really incredible motto in the business, which is "Be awesome." It's on my email signature. We've got a massive big blue neon sign in the office that says "Be awesome." So what our real purpose for the business is to work with awesome people, or help people be awesome. Work with businesses that, if they're not awesome, they've got the potential to be awesome, and then to show everyone that there is so much magic in life. That is really the core of why. That's our why. Why are we doing this, and why do we have all these businesses? Because we want to work with awesome people. It's not, and we're at the point now where we don't call it work. We get to hang out with awesome people every day. We get to work, to operate in awesome businesses and really share what Mark and I have learned on this life journey, and things that we've learned with you and shared with you. That there's so much bloody magic in life, and we've all got this great opportunity to make it as magical as we like, and that's our ethos, is to share that with as many people as we can.
That's so beautiful. And being able to share that and being awesome with your team, being awesome with your clients. How has that shifted the business? Like, what does having all this awesomeness do for you and the team?
Look, it becomes a really awesome place, and we get feedback from all the people saying how much of an awesome environment and awesome culture that we have, and how do we create this? And we often have people that will email or ring and say, "Hey, I've been following you guys on LinkedIn or whatever platform that they've seen us on, and said, how do I get a job?" And for us, that's that was our number one goal for a long time, is to be drawing people that are like, "I've heard about you guys. We really want to work with you." What that does for us, it just gives us so much fulfillment, and to be seeing people growing and thriving and changing from limiting beliefs to then seeing they can do absolutely anything. It's just so enriching.
It's so beautiful. Yeah, it's changing people's lives. That's awesome, brother. So happy
Yeah,
to hear. Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm
It's not.
curious. Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry, go. I was just going to
No,
say, it's
you
not
can.
something that we've always got. We've never always got that model right. Initially we were always like, "Yeah, we're awesome. We're awesome." Da, da, da. And people are like, "Well, hang on. If we're awesome, we need to do this and this. If we're awesome, you haven't really looked after me in this area." So we absolutely take on that feedback and make sure that we start implementing those things.
Yeah, so by putting that stretch there and calling it awesome, then some people called out, "Hey, this isn't awesome." So,
Really?
yeah, right, right. I remember that
Okay.
in a quick story. I had a moment in one of my companies where I was noticing how many times I was getting interrupted, and so then I called a meeting and I said, "Hey, I need to make a plan that we're not going to we're not going to interrupt. We'll have a huddle every morning, and we'll make sure that we get everything done. And then no interruptions unless it's an emergency." And then one of my staff members, who happened to be my sister at that time, she was one of my managers. She raised her hand and she said, "Does that mean you can't interrupt us?" And then I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! I'm creating this culture." I was the one that interrupted everyone because I'm like, "Oh, this is my business. I can go and ask questions. I can change things because this is my company." But then you said, and it wasn't necessarily from an ego standpoint, but it was just from like, "Hey, I can do this because if I need something, I can ask for it." But then I realized I created the culture of interruption. And then once I had that
Yeah,
realization, then you realize, how I want it to be. I need to treat others the same.
yeah,
It's
exactly. That's
it's
that's for
it's
us. That's one thing
huge.
we learn. Everyone learns from us. What we put out is what we're giving people these expectations, these limitations, and these guidelines. And so we're like, if this is the way that we do things, people say, "Well, that's how you're doing it. So why shouldn't we be doing it like that?"
Yeah, it makes total sense. They often say, that whole do as I do, not as I say, or I'm saying do as I say, not as I do, or however that goes. Right. But the reality is that doesn't work. Right. People are watching. I forget who said this, but someone said, sorry, I couldn't hear you. I was too busy watching you. The fact is people are going to watch what we do more than listen to us, So it's, it's so beautifully said. I'm curious, you brought up our time together. I'm curious, what has been the greatest result or valuable moment that you've gotten from our time together as you've been going through this year? What's been the greatest result that you've experienced from our work together?
I mean, that's a tough question, because there's been so many different things. Like Mark and I will sometimes go into a session, and I think I've mentioned to you before, and I think, well, shit, I don't really have anything to say today. I don't really know what's going to happen. And as we just start talking, everything comes out. And at the end of the session, I'm like, holy shit, I didn't realize that I had that much to talk about, but it just all comes about. But trying to pick one thing, one massive thing, and I know that this is for Mark and myself, and we're just about to order them, and I know that you've probably got them there. I know that you actually do have them there. Is the turtles? Having the turtles, and there they are, yeah, there they are, and that representation of slowing down. Don't feel like you need to rush everything. Mark and I are and always have been more than a bull at a gate. We will just absolutely fly through things. And if we have to work 14, 16, 18 hours, we will. If we've got to get up at 2 a.m. and do stuff, we will do it. But having that time with you to understand that, well, if you're flying like that all the time, you're potentially making some wrong decisions. You're making decisions on the flight. You're not making the decisions from a creative space. Have your turtle. Remember, slow down, take a break, go for a walk, sit back, do some meditation, come back into your creative space, recenter, realign. And, one massive thing that we got from that was when we were rushing all the time, people would come in to see us or to ask us questions, and we're so, just snap, 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 go through it. At the time we were giving them was it was really uneventful for them, because we just rush through it and they feel like we're, brushing them off. Whereas now we've created a really good space and really good time with the turtles. They're like, okay, slow down, give people the time that they need, because what we give them is what they go out and create. So if we're giving them fast, sharp answers, like, okay, move, go, get on with it, that's how they're going to be. Whereas if we're slowing down and having that open discussion, then so much creativity comes out of that area. So the turtles is absolutely number one.
Number one, beautiful. Well, and having those turtles, slowing down, getting that creativity, being able to, it sounds like, make decisions in a better way, and then allowing that to ripple through your organization. With when that's happening, what does having that do for you and your team?
Having something like that allows us to, number one, which is the most important thing, I think, for anyone and any business and anyone in business, is to get back to a creative space. Because that's, when we all started in our businesses, and when we've got people working with us, we started it with an idea that turned into a business, that turned into, whatever it needed to be. But we started it from a creative space. And we often fall out of that creative space into just a space where we are just doing, and we've lost all this creativity. And that's where all the magic of life and business comes into it, when you're being creative. So offering, ourselves and the team an opportunity to step back into the creative space. Don't make decisions from a stressful place full of anxiety, full of, limitations, because you're making the wrong decisions. If you're sitting in a really creative space, you're drawing in so much more energy. For us, the field just seems to be a 360-degree openness of all these potentials. Whereas when you're doing it from a stressful place, you're kind of making a decision from this narrow gap. You're limiting yourself. You've got 2 or 3 ideas coming in, whereas be creative and you've got all these opportunities coming to you.
That's it's so true because when you're so quick, you're not able to look at all the options.
Mm.
It's like playing chess, but only looking at part of the board. It's going to be a
Yeah.
tough game if you don't look at the whole board. I'm curious, was it like right away that you took to this, or like when you first heard me start talking about this and bringing up turtles and I know we all laugh about it, but I'm just curious, were you like, oh yeah, man, whatever? I can't remember because I'm being honest about this question. I can't remember how you took it. Was it like pretty quick, or did you say, I don't know, Steve, maybe he's got something, I'll try it, or did you go to it right away? I can't remember.
No, look, I definitely didn't go to it right away. Mark took to it pretty well straight away. And then he, because I'm probably a bit worse than him at times where I'm just charging ahead, and I will charge ahead all day, every day. And I've got, a really enormous amount of energy. So I don't seem to get tired from it. And Mark kind of grabbed me and said, hey, we need to pull back. We need to slow things down. So we literally cleared our desks off. We put one screen on our desk instead of having three screens, less paperwork. So it was a creative space, but it took me time. It's not an overnight thing because, especially for me, I am used to just kicking doors and running through them as fast as I can and just grabbing stuff along the way and like, yes, yes, bang, bang, done, done, done. Filling up this container that I've got here and then get to the end of like, I'm done. What's next? Where now I can be, really selective and a lot of things that I learned from your sales course, the full immersion 4-day course that I did was, taking the time and looking at wow clients instead of me going out because I predominantly, was doing all of the sales instead of just smashing out and trying to get as many sales as I can, looking at, well, stop, slow. Who are our wow clients? And that's a massive thing that we use in every sales meeting now. Who are the wow clients? How do we get more business from them? Because they're aligned with our values and our qualities and our way of life. So that combined in with the slowing everything down and understanding that I don't have to be trying to smash out as much work as I can, as I physically can in a 12-hour day, I'm actually, benefiting myself and the team more by taking my time with it and really diving into one thing at a time instead of trying to do a million things at once.
Makes total sense. And
Mm.
I have a follow-up question, but I just want to interject that I just want you to know, like, I am a lot like you. The reason I just start putting turtles on my desk is because I needed that reminder. And it's not like on a shelf back here. It's like right here next to
Yeah.
my computer so that I'm looking at that darn thing because I would smash things out too. It's like, go, go. And nothing's fast enough. Let's go faster. And I've had to continually remind myself to slow down, be the turtle. And it has come through in dividends, both financially and in my well-being and my family life. So many things have come at it. And it's that awareness, like you said, it just opens that door. So coming back to when you first heard this, and maybe someone's hearing this for the first time and they're like you and I, where they just like go, go, go. And even I've noticed it more during this time in 2020, people are working more because they're trying to get their businesses to survive or they're working extra at work, whatever's happening. What would you suggest is the first step in slowing down? Like, how did you transition? Because like you just said it, your brother Mark took to it a little quicker than you did. What was the point that allowed you to give this a try, I guess? What would be the first step you would advise people to take in slowing down?
I think so. And I actually just thought about this yesterday because I was trying to smash something out. And so what we started doing is we started looking at things that we were doing, and we said, is what we're doing awesome? Is what I'm about to do awesome, or am I halfway through something and I'm smashing it out? And I look at it and think, shit, if I slow down and give myself the time, look at the turtle and say, I need to slow this down. What I'm going to produce, or this email that I'm going to send, is going to be so much more awesome if I just slow down with it and not try and bang it out. Because if I'm banging it out, I'm probably giving 50% of what I'm capable of giving. Where if I'm slowing right down, I can put so much more detail into it. I can put so much more magic into it. I can put so much more awesomeness into it. So when people receive it on the other end, whether that's a an email. Sorry, my thing's going off.
That's all the awesomeness coming off your computer. Ah.
But if I'm slowing it down and really, putting into the awesomeness into it, what I'm producing it's 100 times better than what I'm producing if I'm just slamming something out. Yes, I've got a result, and at the end of the day, I smashed out this much work. But if I'm smashing out, or slowing down and doing this much work, it's awesome. And the quality that I'm giving people and the time that I'm giving people is awesome. Instead of just fitting a purpose because it's a task on the list and I just want to tick it off, tick it off, tick it off, tick it off. But all that stuff's not awesome. What's awesome is me giving it my time. And that's the best resource, the best piece of magic, the best piece of awesomeness that I can give to any one thing or any one person is my time, but quality time.
That's it. I often, so it's so interesting how awesome is your word and wow is my word, so it's wow clients, wow team, wow sales, wow marketing, wow life. And when you have those wow moments, it's awesome. And when things are awesome, you have wow moments. So they go hand in hand. And I'm so thankful for the time we got to spend today because, and we really honed in on a thing. And you actually said it, just to recap, before we wrap up this show today, right from the beginning, I asked you what was most important and you said to slow down because that's what allowed you to make the right decisions during all this transition in time. And then when we come to the end of the show and we're talking about what's most important, it was the turtle. It was slowing down. And that's what's allowed you to have more awareness to be awesome. And so I think that anyone out there, coming to this point, just give yourself a little bit more time, and even if it's like 3 minutes to just go walk outside and let the sun fall on your face, or just walk around your office for a second or your home, wherever you are, and then come back and revisit what's most important so that you can be awesome, so you can have a wow moment or a wow client. So I think this is great tips for everyone out there, Daniel. And I so appreciate you taking the time on your early morning there in Australia and being on our show live here. So thank you so much, Daniel, for being on the show.
Always a pleasure to spend time with an awesome person like you, Steve.
It has been awesome. And you are a wow client and a wow friend. And I appreciate your time. And just for everyone out there, a reminder, we are going to be doing the webcast again on November 12th. So definitely register. We're going to talk about how do you get wow clients during this period of time? How do you do a few things that Daniel and I were talking about? And it's going to be open for Q&A so that you can ask me questions about your business. I look forward to serving you and to have more business and more life. That's what we do this every Tuesday at 2:15 Pacific time. I look forward to seeing you next week.